Hello. Your brain and your body has simply not managed to keep up with the changes in your diet and your lifestyle, and that's contributing to a lot of the mood swings that we have, some of the minor forms of depression, right? A lot of these mental health issues that we face are not necessarily from outside or due to external circumstances only, and that's what this live session is about today. So in this session, what I'm going to share with you is that the food that we eat, the diet, the lifestyle that we lead is vastly different from what our ancestors used to eat and live, the kind of life that they used to live, and that is just even as as early as as recent as even 10,000 years ago, right? 10,000 is not long, simply because human beings have been around, or human species have been around for about 10 million years on this planet Earth. So, so 10,000 years is a very short period of time, right? So it's vastly different. And the other thing is that the massive changes that we've had in our lifestyle, in our diet, our brains are pretty much like that of our ancestors, right? And it's no wonder that we are struggling and we have a looming health crisis on our hands. So because the quality of our food affects that of our mood, right? So that's what this session is about. So if you like what I have to say, if you find it interesting and relevant and useful, make sure to share this video on your with your friends and your family so that they can also benefit from this, right? So the first thing that I would like to point out in today's session on this particular topic is all about the diet and the lifestyle. And I've already mentioned, right? It's so different. The kind of foods that we have are so different. Whether it's to do with the type of grains, the species that have changed, even in something as common as wheat, right? It's changed a lot, and even the hybrid forms of corn or soy, the vast amounts of grain that we are consuming, because again, going back to our ancestral times, most of we were all hunters and gatherers, right? We used to forage wild berries and fruits, not so much of fruits, but more of vegetables, and then hunt wild animals. That used to be our diet for a long period of time, till about, as I mentioned, about till the till about 10,000 years ago, when agriculture revolution started, the grain started being cultivated. Then, of course, about the industrial revolution sometime back, more recently, when again our food changed, and it has really changed in the last 20, 30, 50 years, right? And that's contributing a whole lot to our health issues, especially, and today I'm talking about the mental health issues. But of course, these are also affecting our physical health, or your body. So the brains have not really managed to keep up with that. So just being aware of this can help us to make better food choices, right? So the quality of your food is affecting the quality of your mood, and that's the reason I chose this topic today. And I'm going to be doing a series of sessions on these related topics, right? So of all the organs in your body, the brain is the one which is most affected by the quality of your diet, right? So whether so it's a matter of if you are nourishing your brain with proteins, carbohydrates, fats, healthy fats, and phytonutrients, right? So proteins, carbohydrates, are fats, I think most of us are aware of, but something that there's a separate category called phytonutrients. These are compounds created by plants to ward off their own enemies, to survive, and that's something that we cannot make, right? So that we only get it from plants, and these phytonutrients are what gives the plants their vivid colors. So whether it's your orange colored fruits, vegetables, the red colored fruits, vegetables, the green color, right? So it gives them the different color and the different flavor and the smell, right? So those are called phytonutrients, and it's a key integral part of boosting and supporting our immune system, and even brain health for that matter. Many functions, right? Today I'm focusing on primarily on brain health. But again, so making sure that you are nourishing your brain with this whole array of foods is something that is in your hands. It simply means that making a choice to have different colored fruits and vegetables on a regular basis, right? Because that takes care of most of what I have mentioned till now. Now coming to proteins and healthy fats, again, proteins. So just breaking this down for you, that might be helpful. I will start with one ingredient, one healthy choice that you can make, that you may be doing already, but or you may not think. It's not as important for many of us, which is water, right? Yes, water. I would like to start there simply because what I often find in my coaching practice and when I see people around me, that we have started substituting water or replacing water with other substitutes, right? I had an interesting conversation the other day with somebody who wanted to know about aerated, not just drinks, but even aerated or carbonated water. At the end of the day, nothing will be able to replace the chemical composition of good old plain water and the requirement that your brain has for this particular compound, right? Nothing can replace it, not of course any juices or any other beverages or carbonated, and I'm not even talking about sodas, right? I'm simply talking about even carbonated water. Nothing can replace that. It's a key component which is required for many chemical reactions, not only in your brain, but of course the rest of your body. But more importantly, also maintaining electrolyte balance. So there's a lot of minerals which come in from the water, and it helps to maintain the electrolyte balance, which is important for your brain to function efficiently, right? Because when we are dehydrated, it's almost always much later that we realize that we are dehydrated, right? So we should never reach a point where you feel dehydrated. That means that you're consuming enough water throughout the day. You can't store up water. It'll just flow out from your body. But consuming water regularly and making sure that you do not end up feeling dehydrated, right? Or at the same time reducing beverages or reducing like coffee consumption, tea, which naturally take out water from your system, right? So they make you dehydrated. So making sure that you are managing both at the same time is important, because as I mentioned, it's required for the brain to work efficiently. And what happens as a result when you don't do that? Then we have say brain fog. When we are not able to think clearly, we feel a bit fatigued, and this situation starts creeping up if we are continuously dehydrated or chronically dehydrated, and we start experiencing other symptoms as well, which I'm not going to get into for this particular session, but just something that I wanted to start off this with. So the first thing that I do in the morning when I wake up is simply to hydrate myself with plain water, right? That's the first thing I do in the morning. I reach for a glass of water, and I simply hydrate myself, because we lose a lot of water even while sleeping, while breathing, while urinating, while moving around, while sweating. But even we also lose a lot of water in the night while we are sleeping, and there's a long gap between obviously when we last had. So the first thing in the morning, reach out for a glass of water, and then of course I also add some lemon, some salt, to sort of get some of the minerals coming in, right, in a very natural way. Very simple and very effective way of kickstarting your system and your brain the first thing in the morning. The second thing that I wanted to highlight, the second food group, I'm pretty sure that you know all this, but I'm just tying in how it's affecting your mood, right? How the foods that you are having every single day are either enhancing your brain health, which is enhancing your mood, or taking away from it, right? So the next category would be the proteins, and the proteins are extremely critical for the brain's neural pathway, so the brain's network, right? And I'm going to give you one example. Now, protein is broken down by your digestive system into building blocks called amino acids. And I'm just going to give you an example of one amino acid, which is called tryptophan. Now, tryptophan you may not have heard of, but you might have heard of its the neurotransmitter that is used to make tryptophan, which is serotonin, right? And low levels of serotonin are implicated to depression, and that's why you have SSRIs, which are medications given for those who have clinical depression. Now, you may not have chemical depression, but any of us who are experiencing mood swings, or even those of us who don't have any issues, mental issue, health issues, but would like to keep our brain functioning, optimally, we need to make sure that we are having a good consumption of protein, right? And as I was just tying it to a particular type of amino acid, which is tryptophan. Tryptophan is used to make serotonin, and serotonin is implicated in appetite regulation, sleep regulation. That means that if somebody is often, suffering from food cravings, one of the reasons can be that I see in my coaching practice is that it can be a deficiency in serotonin, right? They're not just simply consuming the foods which have serotonin in it, or they are not able to digest it, but that's a different topic. But it's as simple as that having foods, having a good amount of quality protein, and making sure that it's as simple as, but of course you don't have to know what are the amino acids in which particular food. You simply need to ensure, keep it simple, and have a good amount of quality protein, whether it's plant or animal based, right? And for example, tryptophan is found in seeds, so pumpkin seeds, sunflower seeds, chia seeds, flax seeds, raw cacao, not the dairy milk chocolate, but the raw cacao, so the dark chocolate or the bitter chocolate that we typically get nowadays, or prunes, which is dried plums, or yogurt, and even some of the animal products, right? So there are enough places where we get the amino acid called tryptophan, and that can help boost your serotonin levels, and that actually helps regulate your cravings, food, appetite regulation, sleep regulation, mood, right? Lifts your mood. So that's one huge benefit of having something as simple as protein in your daily meals. And the one piece of advice I would give here is to start your day off with protein, right? Because again, you want your brain to be sharp and starting off on the right note first thing in the morning when you wake up, right? So starting your day off with breakfast with a good quality protein is very important. Now, the other thing that I wanted to talk about today is about healthy fats and oils, right? We are aware of the different kinds of cooking oils, etc. But knowing which oils to use in our lives, which oils support brain health, and I'm talking about specifically about brain health, is important, right? And these are the structural fats. I'm not talking about storage fats which form the bulk of your stomach area, etc. I'm talking about the structural fats which contribute to your brain's neural structure, right? Or the lipid membrane, or the cell membrane rather. So your brain's structure depends on the quality of oils that you're consuming. That is how important the quality of oils it is, right? So making sure that you are having a good quality cooking oil. For example, I always recommend my clients to use, for example, cold pressed traditional cooking oils. So it might be mustard for you, it might be sesame, it might be groundnut, but always keeping in mind that the traditional way of making these oils, and not using the refined oils, right? So that's the first thing, or even using ghee for that matter, using coconut oil. But all the traditional oils made in the traditional way, which is cold pressed, right? That's much more preferable. You can, of course, always opt for other oils that are available nowadays, which is avocado oil, or say extra virgin olive oil, but all of them cannot be used for Indian cooking because each oil has a different heating point, and you can find that out on the net. There are plenty of resources on that, right? But the key thing here is to understand that oils play a huge role in all throughout our health, but definitely for our brain. And the one particular oil that I would like to highlight here also is the polyunsaturated fatty acids, which is PUFA, and the main one out of that, there are two main components of that, omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acid. Fatty acid is the building blocks of oils or fats. Omega-6 is found abundantly everywhere, right? You look around, all your baked goods will have omega-6, your cooking oils will have omega-6, so you pretty much get omega-6. It's nothing wrong with it, but we have an over dependence on omega-6. The proportion of omega-6 and omega-3 is what has gone wrong. So making sure that you have enough of omega-3 in your diet, which typically comes from fatty fish and a few seaweed, and a few different like a seaweed is a vegan source, So just making sure that you're having a good enough consumption of omega-3, and maybe otherwise trying out a supplement if you need to. So that's important. Last but not the least are your carbs, carbohydrates, right? Now carbs get a bad reputation, and a lot of things, but we forget it's the type and the quality of carbohydrates that makes all the difference. When I'm talking about carbohydrates, I'm talking about complex carbohydrates that come mainly from the plants, right? The plant sources, so your vegetables, your fruits, and even the whole grains, which ultimately come from plants. So the reason that we have a lot of other health issues, including brain fog, fatigue, etc., is because our diet has moved mostly towards refined carbohydrates. Now, refined carbohydrates are those from where either they are processed, so they are mostly junk, or nutrient poor foods, or they have, and the other problem is that they have all the fiber removed. Okay, so whether it's your baked goods, whether it's your all the flour based products, right? Our diets have become completely skewed, or largely skewed towards flour based foods, and at the expense of complex carbohydrates like your fruits and vegetables and even whole grains. And that's a problem, because there are blood sugar imbalances as a result, and even your brain actually gets affected. Not only, and I'm not even talking about your blood sugar levels or insulin, etc. I'm just talking about the brain as of now. So making sure that you are sticking to whole grains, so which is, for example, I would give an example of a whole rolled oats, right? And there's something I'm forgetting, the other form of oats, rather, vis-a-vis instant oats, right? So the minute you hear the word instant, you can be rest assured that to reduce the cooking time, the fiber would have been taken out. So avoiding foods which are instant, right, which cook fast, that's simply because the fiber has been taken out and it's not really nutrient dense, or it's actually nutrient poor. So sticking to the fiber rich foods. And the other way of doing that is to stick to plants and vegetables in the first place, right? They have all the fibers and they are nutrient dense, right? So that's what your brain needs. So I just wanted to share with you some of the nutrients, some of the foods that you have in your kitchen already, and some of the health choices, the better health choices that you can make to ensure that you are supporting your mood, right? Because if you're experiencing mood swings, if you're feeling blue, of course, it is also attributable to many other things like the pandemic and external factors and medications, etc. But it can also be attributed to the diet that you're having, the quality of your diet, most importantly. And that is where I decided to focus on today, because that's one area which is in your control, right? You get to choose what you put in your mouth. So if you start making better choices, you start supporting your brain and mental health, right? So that's what today's session was all about. So if you liked what I had to share, if you found this useful and you think it would help somebody who is struggling with these issues, right, make sure to share it with your friends, with your family, and do tune in next week. Next week, I will be taking it one step further, and we will be discussing about 6 to 10 foods which I keep in my own kitchen to up-level your thinking levels, to up-level your mental health, right? So I'll see you again next week at 12.